Hey, in today's lesson we're going to talk about solving absolute value equations, and all I've got is a few examples here. First one says the absolute value of x is equal to 8. Now, when we solve this equation, we have to keep in mind there are actually two numbers whose absolute value is equal to 8. So we actually have to solve two equations. One equation we have to take into account that x could be equal to 8, and that answer's easy, or that equation's easy to solve. The second one we have to keep in mind is that x could also be equal to negative 8. Now, in these two equations, they're both already solved, so the answer is just x equals 8 or x equals negative 8. Either one of those is going to be correct. On the second one, it's the same idea, only now the part inside the absolute value symbol is x plus 3. So we have to first take into consideration that x plus 3 could be equal to 17, but then we also have to consider the fact that x plus 3 could be equal to negative 17. And now we just solve both equations. Each equation we're going to solve by subtracting 3. On the first one, x is equal to 14. But on the second one, x is equal to negative 20. And so the answer is x equals 14 or x equals negative 20. And you could check that by making sure that it works. Put 14 in. 14 plus 3 is equal to 17, and the absolute value of 17 is 17. If you put negative 20 in, negative 20 plus 3 is equal to negative 17, and the absolute value of negative 17 is also 17. So there are two answers. And this one is basically the same thing as the last one. We have to consider that the stuff inside the absolute value symbol, 3x plus 5, could be equal to 23. But we also have to consider the fact that the things inside the absolute value, 3x plus 5, could be equal to negative 23. And so on each of these, you're going to subtract 5 first. When you subtract 5, you get that 3x is equal to 18. Divide by 3, you get that x is 6. On the second one, when you subtract 5, you're going to get that 3x is equal to negative 28. And when you divide by 3, you're going to get that x is equal to negative 9. And so you get x is equal to 6, or x is equal to 9 1/3. And that's correct. Again, you could check this, and the way you would check it is 3 times 6 plus 5, is that equal 23? That's going to be 18 plus 5. The absolute value of 23 is 23, so that equals 23, and that checks. The second answer, 3 times negative 9 1/3, and that's negative 28. And then that's absolute value of negative 23, and 23 does equal 23, and so that's why that checks. And that's because we're finding absolute values. Now, the last two that I have on each of these, you have an important first step. Now, the first thing that you're going to need to do is add 8 to each side. If you add 8 to each side, you're going to get 2x minus 4 is equal to 18. And now the left side is totally inside the absolute value symbol, and so now you can solve your two equations. One where 2x minus 4 is equal to 18, and a second equation where 2x minus 4 is equal to negative 18. On these, you're going to add 4 first. So 2x is equal to 22. X equals 11. And this one, when you add 4, you're going to get the 2x is equal to negative 14. And therefore, x is equal to negative 7. So the answer is 11 or negative 7. And again, you could check that. 2 times 11 is 22. 22 minus 4 is 18. The absolute value of 18 is 18. 18 minus 8 is 10. If you put negative 7 in, 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. Negative 14 minus 4 is negative 18. The absolute value of negative 18 is 18. Minus 8 is 10. So both of those numbers work. And the last example is basically the same thing. Only here you're going to add 21 to each side first. And if you do that, you're going to get 4x plus 7. Absolute value is equal to 24. And then you solve your 2 equations. 4x plus 7 could be 24. But you also have the second possibility where 4x plus 7 all of these, you have to remember, because of the absolute value symbol, there are 2 things that have an absolute value of 24. 24 and negative 24. So you subtract 7, and you get that 4x is equal to 17. Divide by 4, and you get that x is equal to 4/4. Over here, subtract 7, you get that 4x is equal to negative 31. Divide by 4, you get that x is equal to negative 7 3/5. And so it's either 4/4 or negative 7 3/5. And that's correct. And if you plug those in and check, you're going to get the same answers.